Mavericks, Clippers, Lakers, Suns, Celtics, Nets. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Here we go. All right, so let's go according to time. So we'll start with the first game of the day, the Celtics and Nets. In this game, the storyline behind it was the Nets finally started playing defense. We knew that they had a high-powered offense and everything. We know that they have those three studs. But in this game, they were able to play much better defense. And especially, like, you look at that, and they gave up 108 points, which doesn't seem like great defense. But when you're scoring 130, that means shots are going up fast, and they're going in fast. And that gives the other team more possessions and more time with the ball. So the Nets played better defense than I would have expected and that we've seen from them to this point. And the other thing was Kevin Durant had a good amount of points, and right under him was Joe Harris. So they had a fourth player step up. James Harden had 20 and Kyrie had 15, so they didn't do nothing, but they weren't their normal like 25 or 30 points. But Joe Harris was. Joe Harris stepped up and did a bunch. Blake Griffin was having old Clippers dunks, to be honest with you. His old, like what he was doing back in LA back in the day. So he looked better. The Nets looked really awesome in this game. And basically they held this 30-point lead, 20 to 30-point lead throughout most of the game and dominated this one. It wasn't like the last one where they weren't looking good in the first half and came out better in the second half. They basically, from start to finish, controlled this game here. So now let's move on to the Lakers and Suns. This one was super exciting going back and forth. The Lakers, they had Anthony Davis step up. He had like 34 points or something like that. LeBron had a good game. The Suns, they had a good game too. Devin Booker played well. Cam Payne really stepped up, but he had to step up because Chris Paul got very limited minutes with that shoulder contusion. So that's the storyline there was Chris Paul was not able to play nearly the amount of minutes they wanted him to. He'd come in for like 2 minutes at a time and then have to go out because the shoulder was bothering him too much. Jay Crowder also seemed like he couldn't hit a shot in the game, and that really hurt them. They kept swinging it to him wide open, and he'd miss open shots. So the Suns, the fact that they were able to keep it close when Anthony Davis is having a good game, and they don't have Chris Paul, and some of their players aren't playing very well. I actually think it's a positive thing for the Suns looking forward. I know that they know if they play up to what they're capable of, and if Chris Paul can come back and be healthy. Not just can he play, but can he play healthy? Because honestly, in the fourth quarter there, I bet you they would have put Chris Paul back in had Cam Payne been bad in the game. But he'd been playing really well. They knew Chris is just a shoulder contusion. And I say just because it's probably not at risk of him getting it worse throughout the game. It's on his shooting arm. So do you want somebody in who can't do their normal shooting motion without feeling a ton of pain and being restricted that way? Instead, would you rather have that guy or would you rather have Cam Payne, who is playing really great today? So that's what I think happened there. I think that they probably could have played more. It just wasn't worth it because he probably would have made the team worse. He was a great facilitator. Even like he had a great game when he was in there, just by facilitating and everything. But when you need points, I think they realize like, okay, we got to take him out. So I think once they get everything together, if he comes back and he doesn't have that pain, I actually feel like the Suns are in a very good spot. The Lakers are the Lakers. Like, they're not going to go away. And I'm not going to say like, oh yeah, the Suns are going to sweep the rest of the games or anything like that. But I feel like they're in a good spot if everything comes back together. Next, let's go to the Mavericks and Clippers. This one again was close. The Clippers, Kawhi had like 41, Paul George had 28, and nobody else did anything. Like it was rough. And the Mavericks, their stars went off, but the supporting cast just did more. They had more effort off the bench. Like everything just seemed to be working a lot more than the Clippers. And I thought this was funny here. Now Ty Lue is winless in the playoffs in his playoffs coaching career without LeBron James. He's won a championship with LeBron, and he hasn't won a game without him yet. So there you go. The Clippers are not looking good going forward. I mean, I'm not going to say that they can't come back from 0-2 against this Mavericks team. I wouldn't pick them to. I think the Mavericks are going to win this series, but the real, dagger in the heart is that they're done. Last season, this team was most people's favorites to win, and they had an early exit in the playoffs. People were talking about how the Clippers franchise has been bad for years, and this is going to turn them around, and they're going to win all these championships. And they traded all of their future away for Paul George, and now they're just not good enough. They don't have a chance against the Lakers and the Nets and probably even like the Jazz and the Suns. They're just not a good team, and they have no future because they traded it all away to get Paul George with Kawhi. So that's the story there. Another thing people are going to be talking about today is more Aaron Rodgers stuff. There was obviously he's not at OTAs, but also the top 5 Packers receivers didn't show up either, and people are wondering, like, is this a solidarity thing? Is it more about COVID last year where they did their workouts at home and they still had a really good season, so they're like, let's do that again? Who knows? But that's what people are talking about. And real fast, let's go through some scores here in baseball. Take a look. Let's see what your teams are doing. The Padres lost to the Brewers. The Mets lost to the Rockies. And there you go. Tomorrow in the NBA, we have the Wizards and 76ers. Looks like the 76ers are going to keep rolling in that one. Hawks and Knicks. The Knicks are absolutely gunning for Trae Young right now. The mayor of New York came out and said something about Trae Young. Just all he's doing is trying to draw fouls and stuff like that. Like, they are petty in New York about Trae Young. And then the Grizzlies Jazz. I think I'll be at this game. So Grizzlies Jazz. We'll see if the Jazz can rebound. Donovan Mitchell should be back in the lineup. Yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, so I said tomorrow. These games are today, but I'll talk about them tomorrow. So there you go. That's your news. Thanks for being a busy fan, and thanks for watching.